Was the strike on Iran's nuclear plant really about energy? Or was it about liberating Azazel, the fallen angel? So the common theory is that the strike on the nuclear facility in Iran was all about national security and stopping the uranium enrichment. But this reminded me so much of Saddam Hussein and the Stargate, the Anunnaki Stargate. They called it weapons of mass destruction, right? But then they didn't find any. But what they did find were Anunnaki artifacts. So I took that theory and applied it here. So what if the uranium story was just a cover-up? What if the real reason had nothing to do with power plants and everything to do with a being that was buried long ago? Where? Beneath the mountains of Mesopotamia. Guess where? Iran would fit the description. In ancient texts, both biblical and apocryphal, Azazel was no ordinary spirit. He was one of the Watchers accused of giving mankind forbidden knowledge. And he was punished by being bound and buried, sealed off, in a desolate mountain. Just like this uranium plant was buried inside the mountain. So some traditions place his burial someplace in Iraq, where he was chained beneath the earth until the time of his release. Now imagine this. You destroy a nuclear site, but that's just on the surface. But what you're really doing is blasting an entrance into Azazel's prison. The official story is radiations, weapons, and international safety. The hidden story in mythology, in apocryphal and biblical texts, could be that certain powers, certain bloodlines that have divine right, ancient Anunnaki ties, are attempting to liberate Azazel from his prison, from his cage. So this isn't just mythology or legends anymore. The story describes him as being imprisoned underground, locked in caverns beneath the sands, his name whispered as the embodiment of the rebellion and forbidden power. The region of Iraq, home of Babylon, and all of the ruins of ancient Sumer, has always tied the gods, ancient giants, and the Watchers of old. These were all the same people, called with different names in different times and in different cultures. So who knows who's connected to what bloodline and what thing, and who's on Azazel's side and who's not. Were they trying to destroy Azazel's prison, or were they trying to liberate him? I mean, are we watching geopolitical strategy, or are we watching the unfolding of an ancient prophecy? When people think of the name Azazel today, they're thinking of like some kind of demon. But in the oldest stories, Azazel was far more than a fallen angel or a shadowy figure. He was one of the Watchers that descended on earth before the flood. And according to ancient texts, the Watchers are heavenly beings tasked with observing humanity. But Azazel, he broke the covenant. He didn't just watch, he intervened. It is said that he taught mankind metallurgy, weapon crafting, cosmetics, enchantments, the forbidden knowledge that accelerated civilization, but also led to war and corruption. And because of this, Azazel is often portrayed as the archetype of rebellion. But he's also the bringer of hidden science, very much like Prometheus and or Enki in the Sumerian history. And his punishment for such transgression was very severe. In the Book of Enoch, God commands the archangel Raphael to bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness, and to open the desert, which is Dudael, a barren rocky region, which in later traditions they place this in the Zagros or Caucasus ranges, which would be between modern-day Iran and Iraq. There, deep underground, Azazel was to be imprisoned until the day of judgment. He was to be covered in jagged stones and darkness so that he could no longer influence humanity. So imagine this cosmic being, this rebel, sealed beneath a mountain. He became part of Jewish, Christian, and even Islamic myth Over time, we have the name Azazel even in Leviticus. You know, the scapegoat sent into the wilderness. On Yom Kippur, the goat to Azazel. Just as Azazel himself bore the blame for corrupting humankind. So fast forward to today, where we live in an age of forced prophecies, wars in the Middle East, archaeological digs in forbidden lands, and sealed places being cracked open in the name of progress or energy or national security. So every time an ancient site is blasted open, or tunnels are made, or they need to destroy, or they need to open, the old myths echo louder in my mind. So people, you need to start wondering, are these just a whole bunch of coincidences? Or are there powerful figures, players moving these pieces around to fulfill ancient scripts? If Azazel is a symbol of forbidden knowledge and rebellion, his story is profoundly relevant to this moment. Because we live in a world with these sudden leaps of technological advances. We have gene editing, AI, robotics, weapons of imaginable power, often guided by elites that think they have all of this forbidden knowledge. Then we live in a time of great resets, awakening prophecies. So who are the beings behind the curtain? And in that framework, Azazel is much more than a myth. He is literally the archetype of when hidden knowledge was granted to humans. In old stories, Azazel will be released at the end of days. So whether you take it literally or symbolically, the pattern is clear. What was hidden beneath the mountain rises again. And humanity must decide what to do with this knowledge it once condemned. So this could be interpreted either way. Are they trying to destroy the prison, or were they trying to liberate him from it?